Hold on. Okay. All righty. I'm gonna move my mic here. You know what? Take it out. Oh, doesn't matter, bro. Okay. Work on it. Working on it, guys. You know, this is I haven't done a live like podcast in a long time, so I'm gonna get myself ready here. So yeah, that's the thing. All right, connecting. Here we go. And hello, everybody. Rocco Pino here with the return of the podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Well, even though I've had an urge to, stop all of it, but now I think to myself, should I bring it back? And people have even asked me this. People were like, "Yo, Rocco, where are the podcasts? You want to bring them back and stuff?" And I was like, "Hmm." And I was like, hesitant at first, but because of of all the things I've been going on with myself and other things too. But I decided to bring it back. So yeah. So I thought about a few things to talk about for today. Well, one thing obviously was myself and the updates of the move. So as you all know, I'm moving to New York, moving out of New Jersey for some time. Um yeah, because I'm gonna be getting a job up there and you know, a ton of other stuff. I've also looked at, getting a career up there for railroading and things like that. Um, Obviously, I still want to do like some type of, commentary to, talk and things like that. You know, People have their own opinions about things. I mean, people can hate me if they want, people can like me if they want. It doesn't matter no more, and that's something that I've noticed recently because, even on the last day of my announcements, people will come up to me and say, like, Rocco, we don't care about you. We don't care. I was like, "Yeah." And I like back then I was like, well, yeah, well, and then I was back then I was, in a different place. But I learned to, accept that and things like that. So yeah, um, if like, the things that happen in the future and things like that, then yeah. So that's just, a thought about it. But another thing is that, you know, the probabilities of things that have been going on and things like that too. And yeah, you know, people have opinions about other things. And well, 21 people are already on the live. Wow. Welcome everybody. So yeah, this is some, me going back to the lives and stuff. You guys can also ask me questions and things like that. Want to answer them, I don't think I'll have every answer, but obviously I'll have something. I mean, I would like to like people would I would like to ask questions about things too, and also people would also ask questions. The questions that I would like for people to ask me are like things about what's going on in the world, or things that are going on socially with myself, or other things too. You can ask me about anything. But honestly, now that I like think about certain things, I think that like some of the questions can be like compatible and stuff like that, and not everybody will understand what I'm saying and stuff because yeah. But yeah, what's some all right, chat. Do you guys have any questions or anything of, what I should be talking about? Because, I've thought about a couple things to, talk about. And that's just something. But I want to know like what you guys are thoughts of like what's going on. And, I'll also love to, talk. And yeah. Um Another thing that where am I? I'm in New Jersey. Good question. Yes, I'm in New Jersey. It is yeah, you know, decent sunset, things like that. There is yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I get it. And it's partly cloudy day, and it's uh, how life is it out there? How's life out there? You know, that's also a really good question. Um, you know, I've always wondered what that question, like, how is life out in New Jersey? Obviously, with a lot of things that are going on, there's also ups and downs. Yes, weather has been decent the past couple days, and yeah, and things like that. Um, I mean, right now, I believe it's around like 70 something degrees right now, and yeah, and I just said it was like partly cloudy and stuff. I mean, it looks decent. Yeah, and welcome for the newbies who just joined the live now. Um, yeah. Um, Do you guys have any other questions? You know, it could be about any particular subject. I'm willing to answer. Um, yeah. Oh, there's a bird. Sometimes I even like people can ask me about my routine and stuff too. Some hobbies. All right. You know, say my name. Crash out Eno or Crash out Kino. I'm trying to pronounce it. But and Blake, thank you for knowing. My day's been pretty good. I've went to church this morning. And, I've spent time with my family. Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, I wanna, be able to understand people and things like that. I mean, yes, crash out Kino, yes, that was kinda wrong, but, I wanna, pronounce things right. Kino with an O. Oh, oh, I see. And, Hanada E. I'm gonna tell you a question that is so hard. Do you have a wife and do you love her? Well, 1, I don't have a wife. 2, I wish I had one, but I'm still 21 years old and I'm still starting up a job and things like that. A typical weekday in a daily life. Well, on the weeks, um, I would go to work, I would work out, and I would obviously help out. Well, even though recently we're starting to, move to New York and stuff like that. Well, I work at a fast food restaurant right now. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can ask me, you can give me any advice. I'm willing to, tell me. Tell me. I'm willing to hear it. You can tell me. I'm willing to listen. Why am I moving to New York? That's a really good question. I'm moving to New York, well, because I'm more family up there, and also as well as that, I'm gonna have a job up there. So yeah. So it's mainly because of job and also family. But yeah. All right, Crash Out Kino. What's the advice that you want to give to me? I'm willing to listen. Ooh, let's see. Be adventurous, be free, and live life. Love to work and build career one in the work, and you'll go far. I like that. I agree, man. I agree. You know, last year, I would love. I mean, there's things that I also really like to do, such as hobbies. I mean, go back to the hobby question you asked me. One of you guys. Um, well, I have a few hobbies. Obviously doing this, I want to, spread commentary and talk to people, be social. And things like that. But I've had a few things for hobbies. Well, I like to hike. I like to, like explore and go on adventures and things like that. I mean, hiking is is a pretty cool thing. I went to the Delaware Water Gap last year with some friends. But I think honestly, I don't think being a popular content creator would be like my thing. But obviously, still doing it, for like things. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. And also, as well as that, going to the gym and stuff like that too, and things like that. I'm 21 years old and I'm starting, my own thing. Um, yeah. Well, you guys are wondering what I did today. I went to church, and I prayed and things like that, about, people I care about and things like that, and also to myself to do better. And I agree. I think I don't want to be, well, in the past I was pretty performative, and I think now that I think about it, I think, I can like step back from that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Um, yeah. I've also have another hobby. I don't know if not much of you would call this, but it's called rail fanning. Well, ever since I was a little boy, I would go out to go see trains. And I've had a huge fascination of trains ever since I was a little boy. And I would take pictures and take videos and things like that. Yes, Crash Out Kino, you can tell me. I'd like to listen. But yeah, and things like that. Mm, yeah, it's starting to get darker outside. Yeah. Uh, one of my youth it's actually one of my youth pastors. So I'm 30, I've known this guy for a long time, and he's getting big on Facebook now. Interesting. Who is the name of this person? I'm wondering, I would like to know. This would be something I would like to, check out. But, yeah. I also do like to travel, yes. I've already been to, few different big cities. I mean, I'm also, people when well, back to the college question, I didn't have a chance to answer that, but yes, I was in college for a year and then dropped out, and then, I went to a, another, like, training. Well, I went to go train to be a railroad conductor because I've always loved trains, and I've always liked to, travel and, things like that. But as well as that, I've also had a huge fascination of planes and, moving things. I mean, I'm autistic, so, but it's hard for people to tell that I am, but I am autistic. But yeah, and I'm willing to open up about that stuff. I've struggled in the past, and and that's here at what I am now. But yeah, I don't think always like people have opinions about different things, and I don't, want to judge people for those things. And yeah, yeah, but yeah, Kochi, good. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but yeah, traveling would be a great idea to visit and see the famous trains in the world. Yes, I 100% agree. I know like locomotives such as like the EMD SD70 Ace or the NJ Transit ALP 45 DP. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm not scared of how people are gonna, ask me about things. So yeah, yeah. I'm very open about a lot of things now, even though in the past I was, closed. But now, open it. Huh. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, something that would do. I don't know. I gotta think of what else to say. um, a question that that I've also been wondering about. The things. Obviously, I've also like looked on like social media and stuff and things like that. Yes, I've also and also another thing about a hobby I do like is also I used to collect fossils when I was a kid. I have a whole collection of them at my house. Well, yeah, I'm outside. Um, the Facebook account commented. I'll take a look at it after I'm done with the stream. Yes, I'll take a look at it. But yeah, yeah, this particular part podcast slash live, can be for every age. Everybody is welcome to join. Everybody's welcome. And yeah, everybody's welcome to, hear stuff about what a 21-year-old person has to say. Yeah. Me myself, I'm also Christian. I believe in Jesus and God. And yeah, I read a Bible too when I have the chance to. I even have it on my phone and I look at the Bible verses and stuff. And, I even talk to my friends about like a lot of the things about, what goes on in this world. And obviously with like the history, the science and everything, I've always wondered about that, and that's, yeah, but yeah, you know, I, in high school, I was famous for doing the announcements for the past 6 years. Well, from seventh grade all the way to senior year of high school. And yeah, I mean, I was really good at that. And I was good at reading things. I also, I've also have interest in music. I like classic rock, I like rap, and I like EDM music. Yeah. You know, I have a ton of books at home that I read. And some are about like, the historic like maps and stuff, and also with like what like countries were alive back then, and so-called, like when the Roman Empire was up, and obviously when World War II happened, and as well as the modern world now. But yeah, yeah, there's a lot of things that going. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, going to church is a good thing, and reading the Bible, and talking about, and also expressing your things about things, because I pray, and I know, and I even want to improve my relationship with Jesus. And yeah, I think that. Yeah. You know, that's I really happy to, have a great conversation with my chat right now. And yeah, I'm very happy that I even started to do this stream. Does anybody else have any other questions? Because listen, I'm willing to listen to your guys' questions, and I'm also, want to do better at things, and yeah, even though I'm good, I can still do better, and that's something I've always thought about. There's always about improving yourself and doing better. And yeah, but yeah, another thing is that you know, I've another thing that I've also like thought about was you know, another thing about I mean sometimes I mix my words up, but um the traveling. Um so I even thought about it for some time, but I've wanted to travel to, out of America. I mean, I've already been to like the Caribbean islands in Mexico, but that's fun. I mean, I did it when I was a kid, and I went on a cruise and things like that, and yeah, it was fun. But I want to travel with friends and stuff. I mean, oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Yeah, and I mean, what am I gonna do is I'm also gonna be doing streams. I mean, well, I meant to say podcast and live once a week. So I won't always, because the timing is gonna probably be different because of the range of how I work and stuff. So yeah, and I like to get on and talk about things. But yeah, and I mean I've made, and also another thing I'm also gonna spill the beans about is I've made mistakes in the past, and I've done some not so best things, and now like, and even like in the past, like even things, even sometimes I even realize that I don't always admit to, but like, there's things about improving yourself on these things, and changing. I strive to be a good person. I also strive to be a truthful and yeah, and also an obedient person. I mean, yes, I mean, I want to be truthful about everything. I want to do better. Exactly. I agree. It is part of being human. That's why you learn from the mistakes. And that's something that I think is very valuable because we learned from them. And I mean, the mistakes could be at different paces because, some mistakes can, cost you, and sometimes, mistakes can only be little. And yeah, I've dealt with all that. But, I've not like dealt with like going to prison and stuff. But no. I mean, that's like different thing. But when I was younger, I used to be not very nice to, my brother and my mom. And but now like I've things of that. And I've also, I've disrespected people in my past, and sometimes I don't always realize it. And I've struggled in the past with, adapting and to fit in and stuff, and yeah. But people respected me for who I am as a person, and I'm proud of that. And as well as, things like that. Um People can, have their opinions about people, even myself, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to be like, "Yo, why do you hate me? What did I do to you?" I mean, people have their own opinions. They hate me, they can hate me. I'm not going to be like that. And yeah, people have, and that's just the quality of life. There's so much things that like I've wondered that made me want I don't like even in the past, I've had constant therapy in my past, when I was little and things like that. But I managed to, grow out of all of that, and now I even drive a car and stuff like that too. Yeah, I have a pickup truck. As long as you always grow in it from experience, it's always a plus. I agree. I agree. It's always a plus. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think, and I even tell this to younger people, people need to learn to just, accept others, and as well as, always be nice to people because, I've seen people get bullied. I've seen people, get made fun of, and, I've never liked that. I never liked that. Um, my parents, they fought when I was a kid, and I've seen them arguing and stuff. I hated it too, but I'm not gonna dive in deep into that. And they got divorced. Yeah, that's the only thing. But yeah, but I'm living a good life, and I'm happy for what I am, and I'm happy for who I am, and I'm happy that God created me, and I'm happy that Jesus is the way for me. You know, things like that. There has to be morals and values to a lot of different things, and you know, yeah. I mean, another thing that I've also want to brought up for hobbies, I also really, really like to game. I like to play video games. But mainly recently I've been playing mostly with friends. I don't usually play alone. But I played like Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox. I mean that game's mostly for kids and stuff, but I only play like more like the adult games that are on there because, Roblox has become like for every age now. But people can have their own opinions about that too, and some people will even think me as weird for playing a child game, and yeah, but I think certain games on there can be a little bit like, on the child side. And I've managed to like grow out of that. And there's still some that I've still played that I'm probably not going to do much. And yeah, I thought about it, because I want to, not be like not be like a child, because I want to transform myself into, a mature man, adult, and a very kind person, and things like that. Any favorite books you have recently read or recommend? Fiction. Well, recently I've been mostly reading the Bible, and I've been reading like more nonfiction books, but it's been mostly been the Bible from what I've read so far. But um, there's a book called The Fossils of New York, and there's also a book of The Fossils of New Jersey, and I've also read a lot of like magazines about trains and a bunch of things like that. That's what I've been reading. I'm also keep updated with the news and stuff too. But yeah, I've also read a book about you know, some of the historical figures. I mean, obviously things like that. I mean, I'm more of like a video guy more than a book person, but I still have a ton of books that I still like look at and stuff like that. But even though I've been more into the videos recently, I mean still books are good. But yeah. And one thing that I've also been watching, is another thing that I was also interested back when I was a kid was, the fascinations of weather, this. I mean, weather is pretty nice. But I've also been interested in like, the the tornadoes and the earthquakes, the natural disasters, I've, read books about the catastrophes of what happened, and things like that. And, you know, yeah, and there's this YouTuber that I've watched. You guys recommend it. Max Velocity. He's a licensed meteorologist who monitors like uh a lot of the weather that goes on every year. I mean, there's a lot of that. And I think you guys should watch him. Yeah, and I watch him all the time, and I think he's pretty cool. If you guys want to check out my train YouTube channel, I also do some podcasts on there too. I've only done 2 so far. It's called Rails of the Eastern Iron if you guys are interested. I'll also put that in the chat. I'm actually gonna look at it now because I know he sent me that thing. But yeah. Alright, I gotta check. Wait, hold on. He might put him actually, yeah, he put in my comment. I'll do that after the end, but I'm gonna also do that. So yeah, also Rails of the Eastern Iron. I'm gonna have you guys try to pronounce it right. So Rails of the Eastern Iron. Like iron as in like the mineral. So yeah. So if you guys are interested, check out my train YouTube channel. I post my train videos of everything that passes. And more to that, I mean, I gotta improve on that and stuff like that. But I've take photos and also things like that. I also take video and things like that, and also a ton of other things. I mean, I also volunteer for a railroad museum down in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and they already did an event last week, and I was just at it, and yeah, there wasn't much people, but it was still fun. But um, there's gonna be a couple events happening next month in June, and I'm gonna probably try to be there for both of them, but I can't quote on that because I'm gonna be moving out by June 28th. So yeah, and yeah, obviously the other cool thing that's gonna happen next month is the Union Pacific Big Boy 4014. So what's gonna happen is, so you might have heard, I don't know if not all of you have heard, there's a tour that's happening. It's their first time the big boys ever coming to the East Coast of the United States. So usually they would do like their tours out west because it's the Union Pacific Road. But now with the impending merger of, the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Railroad, the Norfolk Southern Railroad runs where I am, and they're gonna try to merge and make it into the first ever transcontinental railroad, which they tried to envision that 200 years ago, and that never happened. But now it's gonna try to be a reality, and the STB are looking into it now, and now we're gonna see if it's actually gonna be approved or not, because now they're gonna review it until the merger officially could happen, and if it does happen, there's gonna be a lot of changes with the railroads and stuff. And also another thing that I've been very, very shocked about was, the thing about the Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines is out of business. I've taken photos of planes in the past too, and I've always loved like, the A320 and the A321s that they had. But now they're all in storage now, and they're probably, I mean, maybe other companies might buy them, but you never know. But I don't even know what's going to happen to, those Spirit planes. And as well as that, also what sucks is also with the employee stuff. I feel so bad what's going on. I feel so bad. Like like imagine something like that happening. Like that is so bad. And and also for another thing, also with the traveling, later this year I'm gonna do a couple like train trips. So one, you guys might have heard. I don't know if you guys have heard. There's this place, called the Horseshoe Curve in Pennsylvania. So the Horseshoe Curve was, a place where a lot of the Norfolk Southern runs today, but in the past it used to be Pennsylvania Railroad, Penn Central, and others. And Conrail too, yes, Conrail. Conrail ran until 1998. I think it was 1998 or 1999. But they that's after Conrail broke up, that's when, Norfolk Southern and the CSX railroads were the two, well, split it. And yeah, and things like that. You know, I find it so fascinating about what goes on in the airplane and the train industries. With a lot of things that are going on. I mean, more with the trains for me, but planes obviously are so cool too, and also the other things. I mean, I've also, checked on the updates, what goes on with like the fossils, if anybody's found stuff. I'm curious with that too. And yeah, I mean, also I've always watched the media, with the music, the new music drops, and also, with the concerts. I've also loved music. I'm a big fan of classic rock. I'm also a big fan of rap, and I'm also a big fan of EDM music. So yeah. Um I mean, I don't know if not a lot of you would know about like, the more modern music. I mean, that was like when I grew up, but like and also with like classic rock too. I mean, that was when my parents were kids. And also a lot of things, even my grandparents too. And I've like classic rock too, and yeah, and I've also liked all of the music. I mean, with Michael Jackson, obviously, and I also did like a lot of the classic rock bands. I mean, I was a huge hard rock fan with like AC/DC, Def Leppard, Steve Miller Band, which I've all saw. And yeah, and I've seen um I'm trying to think of who it is. It was this other band. Oh wait, the Doobie Brothers. Yes. I saw him down near Philadelphia. But yes, the Doobie Brothers is another cool band too. But yeah, I've also, liked all those bands. But there's more bands that I forgot to mention about that I've also liked too. But now let's move it on to rap. So, I've also liked old school rap and I also like new school rap. The old school rap obviously with like Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and things like that. And then the new rap obviously with like Cardi, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and much more. I mean, those are all cool too. And also with like Yeet as well too. I also like Yeet as well. And then for like EDM, there's like I don't really know much of the artists. I mean, I just scroll onto their music. I just like the sounds of it. That's just my thing. Yeah. But yeah. Um, yeah. Wow, this live's been already 30 minutes. Yeah. Rap. Oh, that's funny. Reaper's Delight. That's funny. That is funny. Well, yeah. Old school rap is the bomb. Yeah, I agree. I mean, my favorite old school rapper has always been Eminem because, of how fast he raps. I mean, like, someone to do what did I do to give it a super name? Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. I'm so I've done it a few times, I'm still trying to improve on how fast I can, rap and stuff. But I also rap myself. My rap is known as Young Rock. I mean, obviously I want to try so many things to, do well at. But obviously, I don't think I'll be famous. But if I do, it'll be good. But I've had, ups and downs about it. But I would like to be famous. I mean, I want people to see me as a good person. That's why I would want to be famous. But I don't have to be famous. I could just focus on, my daily life and things like that. But yeah, but I my rap is called Yun Rock. So back then I used to rap and curse a lot, and ever since like I've learned to get closer and stuff. Like I would probably yeah I in my recent songs I don't curse no more, and I think do that because I don't want to drop like the F bomb and things like that like I did in like my older songs. I mean, you can still listen to them. I mean, it's okay. I mean, but I more moved on to like a non cursing artist. I mean, obviously with like rap. I mean, I like to rap and stuff, but I don't really want to curse in my music no more. I want to just be truthful and things like that. I mean, I talk about I rap about like my struggles I face and what I deal with and also with like my life and things like that. and also with like how to adapt and also be truthful. Yes, exactly. I agree. I mean, yeah, and yeah. A couple days ago, I just dropped my first album of 2026 called Outcast. If you guys are interested in listening, so yeah, things like that. I'm also have something in the book. I have Outcast Part 2 coming at some point. I know the date is, but I'm not telling anybody yet. But all I can tell you is that it's coming soon. So yeah. Outcast Part 2 is in the works. Outcast Part 1's already out. So yes. And I do have some features with some other of my friends. I mean, I usually would have some of my friends, hop on the beat with me and, rap with me and things like that. I mean, obviously do it for fun. Also, other things too. But yeah. Um, yeah, it's getting dark. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, that went quick. But I'm gonna end my live in about a couple minutes. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna start doing stuff. I mean, I'm gonna start dying down in like a couple minutes because I'm gonna go in and well, in a bit, I have I gotta jump on a game with my friends. I gotta, I mean, obviously get on a call with them and spend time and also play games with them. I mean, it's gonna be a fun night for me though. Yeah, but yeah. Um, another thing that I've you know thought about. I mean, also, I'm trying to think of it. Another thing is, in my terms for politics, I mean, not much people want to talk about it, but I don't really, talk about it as much because, I don't agree with both sides. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to stay in the middle. Yeah, I try to just, find out the truth, don't listen to like everybody. But, people have their own opinions and stuff. I don't want to argue with like, things like that. It's not valuable to argue with someone about politics because, it's just, I've had people that have lost friends because of politics. And I think that's terrible. And yeah, I but my point of view, I think, is stay truthful and stay in the middle, don't I mean, listen to the truth, I mean, vote for the lesser of the evil. That's just my opinion. But you guys have your own opinions about certain people. I mean, both sides. I mean, I agree with like certain things Trump says, and I've disagree with things Trump say. So yeah, I mean, but I don't agree with what every politician says. I mean, I have had a family member that is in a council for a town. But yeah, and even from what I heard, you know, they they have opinions and stuff too. They have their own opinions and stuff like that. I mean, that's the last thing I'm going to talk about. I don't want to dive too deep into politics because that's not a valuable thing to talk about. You know, because because I don't want to like experience what my friends did because that's the thing. I stay neutral in that stuff. So yeah, I like that. Yeah, exactly. Stay neutral. hmm But yeah, but listen, guys, thank you for jumping on. I'm gonna end this podcast here. I gotta say, this was a very, very first successful one. Very, very successful podcast. And I'm very, very happy that we've all talked about all of this. Very happy. And I want to say thank you for all my supporters out there who would believe in me and stuff. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Rocco Pino signing off. Have a great night.